episode 3 of The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and ooh, it's got some fun fights. We'll get to the bar fight later on. You'll understand why I'm saving it when we get there. But let's start out with this harbor fight. So yeah, these retractable batons, they bend when you swing them around, they're supposed to, but you might have noticed this one seems kind of permanently bent. I thought this would be fun to point out. So these props are sometimes like thick pipe cleaner wire with soft foam rubber on the outside and then like a paint job. And what happens is since the metal inside is so thin, you have to keep them in the shade on set. If it's too hot outside, and especially if they end up like laying in the sun, the metal warms up just enough that they sag. A lot of times in World War I films, you can see bayonets sagging in the background, and that's because the extras are spending all day sitting in the sun waiting to be on camera. So even though the characters are wearing like long pants and stuff, it looks like it was probably a pretty hot day when they were filming this. By the way, really cool choreography moment here. She grabs the collar of his jacket and uses that as a fulcrum so that she can use her forearm to pin the gun against his chest. How cool is that? One of the problems with wearing something like a hood during a fight scene is it has a tendency to fall off mid-take. So when I saw this fall off in the middle of this shot, I was so impressed. In the next shot, they actually have it off her head. Part of the reason why this is so impressive is they don't film these necessarily in chronological order. It's not like they did this shot and then stopped and then climbed up on top of all these shipping containers and got that shot from above and then went back down and did this finishing shot and were like, oh, remember the hood fell off. More than likely, what happened was they did these shots down at the bottom and either the hood fell off at some point, it might have been choreographed, but it probably wasn't. So somebody probably remembered, hey, the hood wasn't on for that final knee. We have to make sure that it falls off sometime. So then during this shot from above, they had an amazing attention to detail. Oh my god. Props to either the actor or more than likely the stuntman or stunt woman for doing this fight in this shot and making the hood fall off mid-fight. Like that's a skill in itself, is being able to make sure your costume change happens mid-fight. Okay, so I hate frame dropping. And there's a big frame drop here. You see how her knee goes from like close, or really far away from the guy's head. That's a frame drop, where instead of say going from normal speed and then gradually speeding it up and then slowing it back down so that you've got this fast moment of the hit, it feels lazier to me to just crop some frames out instead, but there can be a really good reason to do it. And I think this is an example. So you can see that this very obviously isn't going to hit the guy. It looks like it was a pretty obvious miss, and this was probably the only camera angle except for the camera angle from way up on top of the shipping containers. So it looks like the editor solved that problem of it being an obvious miss by dropping those frames of the actual hit. So it looks like the knee is close, and then suddenly it's over here, but the hit's already happened. So we don't see the moment of impact, which sucks, but we also don't see the moment of it being a miss from this camera angle. So a note to editors out there, you can use frame drops to solve a problem that happened on set where something is a really obvious miss. And we're going to see this in the bar fight later on, this exact same technique. Well, kind of the same technique. You'll see. I really like that with this armbar, the thug doesn't just immediately drop the knife like, oh, my elbow is kind of sore, dropped it. She actually has to struggle. She has to struggle to get him to the ground, and she has to struggle to get the knife from him. Because the armbar, you can still hold on to something, like your elbow really hurts, but you can still hold on to a knife. You don't automatically drop it. What does really bug me, and this is becoming a bit of a theme with this show, is the actual struggle for the knife happens off camera. Regardless, the special effects are really cool on this knife throw. If you've seen body shots land in fight scenes before that felt just wrong and like super weak, part of what makes a big difference in how a body shot feels for the audience is the rippling on these clothes. See how she really kicks him and his shirt develops all these creases that kind of converge on the point of impact. We've touched enough clothes in our life to know that that's what happens. Like poke your leg right now and you'll see the fabric do that sort of thing. So when a body shot happens on film and we don't see any movement of the clothes, it just kind of registers wrong, which is why it's always better to have some sort of padding underneath and really do a hit when it comes to the body. Although it looks like this guy doesn't even have any padding, so man, good work. He took one for the team. Okay, let me know in the comments, because for me, I didn't register this kind of tackle into the shipping container as being super painful for her, enough that she would have to stop fighting. So to me, it looked like her character was tackled into the shipping container, fell to the ground, and then was kind of cowering while dodging this knee and then just sort of not doing anything. It could be that it's supposed to maybe she's so hurt that she just needs a break and needs to cover up like a real fighter. So let me know, did it register for you guys that she was hurt and covering up while she took a little break? Like, how did this little spot here come across to you guys? It genuinely helps me out when you let me know. And I don't usually like little throws to the ground, like this guy just kind of grabs her and tosses her to the right. But it is in line with his style, since like the first thing he did was grab her leg and then grab her in a body lock. Everything this guy does is sort of based around a grab. So when he just kind of grabs her and throws her to the ground like that, I'm not a big fan of it usually in fight scenes, but it is in character. Then we go back inside for a bit. We come back out to, oh my God, I love it. I love it. This triangle choke from behind is really difficult to finish. So you often see in something like an MMA fight, they'll get this position and they'll actually get the submission not from the triangle choke, but from the armbar that she's going for. So it's really cool that she's kind of doing both. We got to take a second though and talk about camera movement motivation, which seems weird in a fight scene, but stick with me here. You'll understand that this actually is like, it's hand in hand with fight choreography, and the choreographer and director need to work together on moments like this. This is important for choreography's sake. So we've got this Easter egg of the guy's tattoo. I know it's an Easter egg because the camera is so shaky for the rest of the fight, and it gets suspiciously steady when we get this tattoo in French that appears on screen. By the way, the tattoo says, "Nous avons fait qu'effleurer la justice en peu." Roughly, we've only scratched the surface of justice. It's so fast, I thought it said un peu at first, which is a little in French. So we can see in a similar situation, she did this armbar to the other guy and the camera was far more shaky. It looks like they have this tattoo on him in French, and we need to show it close enough to the camera that the audience can find it. By the way, if you are a stuntman in a fight like this and you have tattoos, every one of these tattoos, if they're real, you need to submit pictures to the casting director. So you would have to send like a clear photo of every tattoo you've got and whether or not you have like a release form for them, like permission from the tattoo artist or whoever the original artist was before you got it as a tattoo even. And you have to submit all those pictures, and the casting agent will like check them, make sure they're appropriate for the role, so there's not like, you know, nudity, and it's gonna be something that's supposed to be PG rated. Imagine this stuntman had a Captain America tattoo. Like, kind of wouldn't work, right? And if you've got a tattoo that isn't allowed, usually they're able to cover it up, either with a costume, like making sure you've got long sleeves, or maybe his armband, he could have a tattoo on his wrist there that is inappropriate or just not allowed. Like if it's a Nike swoosh or something, they would cover it up, and that's usually the kind of thing they do, is like a little wristband. Oh, man, I was happy to see this detail. The defense to this would be to grab the ankle and push it straight forward so that she can't really lock her leg around her foot and have that nice triangle. So what she would want to do to make sure that doesn't happen is exactly what she does do. She's got the triangle locked up, and then she tucks her leg around behind his back. So you notice he can't reach it anymore with his left hand. It's such a cool detail. So let's go back to this idea of camera movement and motivation, because we zoom in to this point, past the guy's face, and we don't want to do that. Like, it is objectively a better shot here when we can see her face, the armbar, and his face, and the triangle choke. Like, we can see everything here. This is a great shot, and this is where we want to stay. But we need to move in for this Easter egg of the tattoo. So what I would have done a little differently here is, since, oh my God, thank God they did not just add like a neck break sound, right? One thing that bugs the hell out of me is when people are doing a choke in a film and they decide, all right, well, now it's a neck break. All the bad guys have osteoporosis. So since they don't, and they do a great job of keeping it as a choke, I would have had him making a fist this whole time so that when they zoom in past his face, you can have the fist relax into an open hand, showing that he's been choked unconscious. That would give us a motivation for this camera movement. Like, why aren't we seeing his face and seeing what happens to him, seeing if he goes out? It doesn't ruin anything, it doesn't make the fight bad. I just think it's a missed opportunity for adding like an extra layer of depth to the fight scene. And I want to point out this little thing that they do that's a really good money saver. So I've been ragging on this idea of stuff happening off camera, like just off camera for no reason in the fight scenes. But this is a really good one. This one has a reason. So she stabs this guy in the leg, and we do see the stab happen on camera. Then it pans up right away, and we miss some stuff. But the reason it pans up is to save money. She stabs him in the leg, and we don't want to add to the budget by having her let go of the knife, and we need to have a CGI knife put in his leg and be there for the rest of the shot. Or they can just pan up. So stab him in the leg, pan up just a slight bit so that when she lets go, as far as we know, it's still stuck in his leg. And if you didn't want to do the CGI route, you would still need to do something like stab him in the leg, switch to a different camera angle, and have him put on a different pair of pants that has a knife handle glued to them with a bit of blood around it. So now you've got the cost of extra pants and extra work from the prop department and costume department, or just pan up. So this is a really good money-saving technique in this case, which I think is kind of neat. However, I do wish that the gun disarm was a little higher. For 2 frames, you can see the knife on the ground behind the guy, so if you're wondering, oh, how do you know that it wasn't stuck in his leg? Well, there you go. So we can't see it, but we have to slow it down so much. Like, it's not taking away from the fight scene whatsoever. I really didn't care. I was just kind of like, ah, neat, we can see it. I freaking love this reveal. Oh my god. This guy, like, hypes himself up and then goes around, she shoots him, and, like, I love that reveal of he covers her, we don't see her at all, we see the flash, and then, oh man, just good work, good work.